Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
And welcome to the Strange and Beautiful Book Club. No, we did not release this on August 1st. Sorry. I should note, if the first Friday is the first day of the month, that's just not happening. I can't. I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but I rarely even know what day it is, much less what day of the week it is, much less what date it is. So anyway, in the land of memory, the time is always now. And in the kingdom of ago, the clock ticks, but the hands never move. There was a couple really good lines in this book. Mm-hmm. This is, of course, Song of Susannah by Stephen King, which puts us one book from the end.
Dark Tower, book 6.
Yeah. How did you feel? Just before I do my thing where I just talk forever, how do you feel? How do you feel about this book?
This had some good moments.
Yeah.
This definitely revealed a lot more of the mythology, like driving forces behind how this whole story works.
Yeah. So we know that these books were written after Stephen King got hit by the car.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how much of this is him facing his own mortality and whether or not his books will live on after him and creating a mythology in his mind where he has literally created worlds and characters. And even if everyone else forgets them or they were never published in the first place, they will continue to exist beyond him. This felt like an existential crisis written down on paper. That's what this felt like to me. Not a novel.
Especially all three being written at once.
Yeah, correct. And we know he wanted the tower to be 7 books. It kind of feels like it could have been 6.
I agree.
And we could have tacked some of this onto the end of Wolves of the Kala, even though Wolves of the Kala is already quite long. You could have put a fair amount of the Susannah, at least introduction into the world, at the end of Wolves of the Kala.
Yeah, you could have had them, Susannah and Mia, getting to the hotel or something.
Yeah.
And then cut.
And then we could have put the Stephen King / Roland / Eddie section and the Callahan and Jake section at the beginning of the next book and really truncated it significantly. This felt, in parts, really rambly because, honestly, not a lot happens. And to illustrate that, I think we should go through it character by character.
Okay.
Because we really start with Eddie and Roland, kind of. We also talk to, I think it's Susannah at the very beginning, because she's talking to somebody and they're like, well, it doesn't really matter. Eddie's already dead because we knew he was coming and we had people waiting for him because they all get split up. Susannah left first, obviously. And then we have a whole section where Eddie is trying to get the Manny to go open the door.
And
they're like,
delaying.
But it's dark outside. And he's like, okay, but like, what if the magic leaves the cave? And they're like,
but what if I trip and break a hip?
Yeah. He's like, well, then the magic leaves the cave. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going up there in the middle of the night. And then we get probably the coolest part in the entire book, which was the beam quake.
Ooh, yeah.
It's lost. It's lost in the shuffle entirely. I mean, I think we mentioned it 2 other times, but literally an entire beam collapses, which means everything on that beam is gone. It's the end of a whole world.
Just gone?
Just gone, because they're on the beam of the bear.
Turtle.
Bear and turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if their beam collapsed, it would be the end of their world. Just like total apocalypse. End.
Like the nothing?
It is so bad that even on their beam, they feel it as an earthquake. And luckily it clears the path so the Manny can go up to the cave of whispers or whatever, which now is no longer whispering. And then they open the door with, I think, plum bobs. I don't know. It gets real murky there for a bit. And they're going to leave Oi. That's probably the saddest part. Jake's like, no, Oi, you can't come. You don't even look like a dog. And Oi's like, okay. And then he ends up getting sucked in anyway. And they immediately get split. So right off the gate, we have Susannah, separate storyline. Eddie and Roland, separate storyline. And Jake and Callahan. And Susannah,
and
Jake, and Callahan are all...
Don't forget.
And Oi.
Oi is like the most important member of the Kata.
At this point, pretty much, yeah. The four of them are in 1999. And meanwhile, Roland and Jake are in...
Roland and Eddie.
Oh yeah, Roland and Eddie are in the 70s? Is that where they are?
I remember them saying something about 20 years. So
1979.
1979, or maybe like 1977 or something.
1977, roughly 20 years earlier, because that's where Aaron Deep Now and Calvin Tower are.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and do them first, because the least happens for them. To be honest. It's mostly character development and some shooting. And my favorite part of the entire section is when they say they arrive into a battle. Like the war starts as soon as they land or whatever.
Yeah.
And basically all of the people from the mafia gang that Eddie killed in his book, Drawing of the Three, are back. But it's so much
in their past.
In their past. Except this is the real world.
Right.
This is the world with consequences, where time only travels one way.
Yep.
So if you don't get it right, you can't go back and try again. You have to get it right the very first time, which they're all in a panic about. But where have we ever gone back and redone a time to fix it?
When else have we been able to aim a door?
Right. They're like, oh no, the stress of having to get it right the first time. Well, what the fuck? Of course you have to get it right. Where have you not had to get it right the first time?
It's the real world.
Oh my God, no, this is not a story. We just learned we're all living in stories, and now we rely on it as a it's fine. It's fine.
It's their existential crisis.
You know who's having an existential crisis this entire book? Stephen King. That's who's having an existential crisis. And we are having it with him. And it's fine. I've seen, it's kind of like, what other one did we read? Anyway, this one gets a lot of hate. This particular one, Song of Susannah, because people feel like it's just a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally just to get us from Wolves of the Kala to the Dark Tower, which is what a middle book does.
Right.
Except it's not a middle book. It's the sixth book. But Stephen King is a different person every time he writes one of these books. Mm-hmm. He was a different person when he wrote the first one, then when he wrote the second, then when he wrote the third, then when he wrote the fourth, and then 5, 6, and 7, he was an entirely different person than he was for the previous 4. So I get it. We are on a journey with Stephen and with Roland all at the same time. But in this particular book, he literally puts himself in the book to work shit out. Which he says, I'm not a good storyteller. That's why I write them down. So he's processing for us his own mortality in this book. It was I
think
choice.
It works really well.
I think it's fine. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it even in the tiniest little bit. We already put Callahan in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we already know that the other worlds that he's created exist.
Right.
At least in full or in
right.
part.
Yeah. We had an indirect reference to the fact that there's a person in the world of the Dark Tower named Stephen King that writes all the books that Stephen King writes.
And they already saw his name when they were at the Restaurant of the Mind.
Yep.
He was on the board on the outside.
Yep.
So this is not a shock. I did not see this coming. And I knew everyone, when you talk about the Dark Tower, the one that Stephen King put himself in. Okay, well, it's a bit like telling me that Darth Vader is Luke's dad, but that's fine. It's totally fine. Anyway, they start out shooting, and immediately 2 people get killed. We have the line, like blood was coming out of her head, like lava out of a volcano. I was like, right now? I just started reading this shit. We got a couple good, one of them, I think his balls draw up as tight as peach pits or something.
We got one line, I think, about Eddie's balls.
Yeah, we got a couple lines about balls. I did not highlight this one. I should have found my highlighter, but I didn't. I just read it straight through.
Oh, I only made note of one, so I may have missed the other.
They've become banal at this point. We're just like, Dick's balls is fine, whatever. But this is an interesting section. What a way to open it up, which is just somebody told them that this was where Roland and Eddie were going to show up. And later, Eddie implies it might have been Mia, but Mia doesn't show up until 1999. And time only moves in one direction in the real world. So how did Mia know where they were going to show up?
I don't think it was Mia. I thought they figured out later it was when they're talking to Jack Andolini. He basically says Randall Flagg hired him. Or Randall Flagg, he works for Randall Flagg, and Randall Flagg told him to take all of his men up here and hire extras.
I don't remember that, but that's fine. I get it. That makes sense. At this point, I love you, Steven, but Randall feels like a crutch. How do I get these people? How do I get impossible knowledge to this group of people? Oh, it's fine. Randall Flagg will tell them. Oh, it's fine. This omnipotent, almost impossible to kill character that I have created will simply give them the information that he will have, and I don't have to explain why he has it because that's the type of character that he is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The best part about this is when Roland tells Eddie to stall, and Eddie's like, what? How the fuck do I stall? And he goes, your everlasting mouth, Eddie. And Eddie's like, oh, right. So he's talking to Jack and really trying to get him all riled up. And they're really just bantering back and forth. And then Roland pipes up and he's like, you lick your boss's asshole and it makes you uglier and everyone knows what you're doing and they're all laughing at you behind your back. It's like the most inelegant, cutting statement he could have possibly made, and it actually pisses Jack off. Like everything that Eddie was doing was just like, whatever, you're a bullshitter, I get it. But then Roland's like, you lick people's buttholes, you dick. And he's like, oh my God, what'd you fucking say to me? And they end up blowing up a whole gas station. They hook up with a guy.
John Cullum.
The rational man in the room, and he helps them to get away, and they end up fleeing by dinghy.
Yeah. And they mentioned that they're looking for Calvin Tower and that he's like a bookseller, and that he's like, oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
And Eddie's like,
I can tell you exactly where he's staying too.
This is a section that had a lot of unnecessary dialogue. I think John Callum comes back, which is why we spent time learning about him and meeting him as a character, which is fine. But did we need the whole thing about the baseballs? No, I don't think so. There was a lot here that was like, And we find out there are walk-ins. They're extremely common. Common enough that this guy knew about them. He's like, are you guys walk-ins? Meaning, did you just appear?
From a different world?
And they're like, yes. Yeah. And then he gives Roland a cigarette with a filter on it. And Roland's like, the fuck is this shit?
And even after John rips the filter off for him, he's like, this is still just dirty air.
And he's like, gross. And Eddie's like, well, it's better for you with the filter. And he's like, what? Cigarettes are good for you. He goes, everybody smokes them. Everybody knows that once your lungs are done developing,
as long as you wait till you're fully developed.
It's protective. It keeps you from getting all kinds of lung ailments. And Eddie's like, I think that the Surgeon General would disagree with you. I don't know. Maybe in Midworld it does. Who knows?
He may be a offshoot of the human species that has over evolutionary timescales has adapted to cigarette smoke.
Well, it's been a long time. Plus, it's not our world, so.
Yeah.
They end up going to where the bookseller lives, Aaron Deepnow and Calvin Tower. And Aaron Deepnow is just down in the boathouse. And they're like, well, we thought we told you to leave because Callahan risked his life to come here to leave you a message to like maybe quit fucking advertising where you live. And he's like, oh, well, we went down to the boathouse but
then we came back
for like an hour. Then it got damp and we just came back. And the best part about this whole part is Eddie seeing himself in Calvin Tower and realizing that addictive behavior is what Roland hated when they first met. And he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill him. I'm gonna fucking kill him.
And he's all riled up and
Roland's like, if I could
let me
not
tell
kill
you a story.
If I could not kill you, you cannot kill him. And he literally has to look. He can't even look at him. I get that. I have been in a room with someone I dislike so strongly. You can't even look at them. It's like physically painful to be around them. Mm-hmm. And partly because Calvin Tower is kind of a dick. And partly because Eddie sees himself in Calvin. But Calvin tries to roll back his deal. He's like, no, I was under duress. It was a coerced contract. I'm not selling you anything. And Roland's like, okay, Aaron, get out a piece of paper and draw up the contract. And he's like, well, but he's not agreeing. And Roland's like,
he will.
Write the contract. It's fine. And then he ends up, I think, speaking to him in the high speech because they talk to each other in a language that nobody recognizes.
Right. And Calvin obviously knows high speech. He knows more than he's talking about. But I think he was deluding himself into not believing that Eddie and Roland were who they say they are.
Yeah.
But then once
Roland's sitting at your kitchen table, it's really hard to be like, you don't exist.
Yeah.
Roland's like, I do though. And then he takes him outside. He's like, step outside with me for a minute. And when he comes back, Calvin's like, okay, I'm gonna sell it to him. I'm gonna do it. And Eddie's like, Roland got you. You got Roland. Because he yells at him. He's like, Eddie yells at him. He's like, you
Eddie
selfish
chews him out, and
son of a bitch.
So, yeah,
it's good.
Slaps.
And Calvin is trying to get Aaron to step up for his defense, and Aaron's like, nope, you earned this. You fucking take it. Sit down and shut up. But they agree to buy it for $1 with the understanding that over the next 20 years, they'll pay him fair market value. And it must happen because when we pick up with Jake and Callahan later, that tower is built on the lot. And the Rose is saved, and it's the Tet Corporation?
Yeah, the Tet Corporation.
Yeah. But from there, we go to meet Stephen King. I mean, the whole thing with Calvin is fine, but it's really just wrapping up that loophole, that plot hole. He can't keep having them fight to, like, buy a piece of property. It would bog the whole series down. So he's just like, here, they buy it, it's done. They signed a piece of paper in the kitchen, and since that one guy used to be a lawyer, which we don't even know, is he a property lawyer? Is he a... What does he do? Does he... There's different kinds of lawyers.
I think if you are licensed...
I mean, you can, but like...
You can do it.
Yeah.
But
it's not... It's fine. You just don't necessarily know all of the, like, details.
You don't need to know.
Okay.
It's like saying, oh, yeah, he's a software guy.
Yeah.
He can hack that.
Yeah.
But don't worry about it.
So you can fix my computer, right? Yeah, sure. It's fine. Yeah, because I write programs, it's the same as knowing hardware. It's fine. It works. It doesn't matter. It gets over. And then they go to meet Stephen King, which is honestly the most interesting part in the entire book. And interesting in that, wow, he really put that in here. Like, he made himself God. He made himself God.
The Herald of God.
Okay. Yeah. Gan? Doesn't he comes up with a
Gan
new name?
The turtle. And they've used the name Gan a few times.
But the turtle's name isn't Gan. It's
Gan.
No, the turtle has a different name.
Oh. I thought Gan was just the turtle, but is Gan
Shardik
an overarching
is the
god?
bear. It is the bear. Shardik is the bear, and they're both literary references.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Gan is just
God.
God.
Overarching figure.
Okay.
Maturin. Maturin?
Oh, okay.
The cosmic turtle.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
I recognize that name.
One of the 12 guardians of the beam. Apparently he's also in It as the polar opposite of Pennywise. Huh. Well, anyway. Maturin. I knew the turtle had a different name than Gan. Whatever, we came up with a new god. Okay, fine. And it's basically that Stephen King occasionally channels and or creates things at the behest of God.
Yeah, my interpretation was Stephen King was selected by Gan.
Yeah.
And given the ability to produce reality by crafting stories.
Yeah. But then he makes stuff levitate in the real world.
Right. Yeah, he can do stuff.
Okay.
But that's why the Crimson King wants King, because...
Or at least wants him dead.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want him to finish his story.
Right.
Because if you leave it formless, then...
Right. Then it never becomes...
truth. And Stephen King has basically already written The Dark Tower, but he just put it in a box. He was like,
line out.
It was fine. Like, I wrote it. It happened. It got weird. You started acting, and I wasn't sure if I was writing you or you were writing yourself, or if you were the hero or the anti-hero or no hero at all. He says, King looked back at Roland as the man with no name, a fantasy version of Clint Eastwood. You were okay. A lot of fun to partner up with. Is that how you think of it? Yes, but then you changed right under my hand. It got so I couldn't tell if you were the hero, the anti-hero, or no hero at all. And when you let the kid drop, that was the capper. You said you made me do that. Looking Roland straight in the eyes, blue meeting blue amid the endless choir of voices, King said, I lied, brother. Because he's like, wow, you're that guy that dropped that kid, but, I made you do that. It's fine. And then Roland... yeah, later. No, actually, you did that. I didn't know you were going to do that till you did it. This whole section was really interesting because at the very end, we get all those journal entries where he talks about every time he wants to write a Dark Tower series or Dark Tower book for the series, it just comes to him all at once and he just sits down and writes it.
Right.
And very rarely even needs to make changes. And then at the end, he has himself die in the same situation where he survives in our real world. In the world of Song of Susannah, Stephen King gets hit by the car and dies.
Right.
Which is why I was like, oh, you were working through something. Okay. Because once he goes back to the world of the Dark Tower and starts writing in it again, he becomes an enemy of the Crimson King again.
Right.
And so the Crimson King starts trying to kill him again. Okay. I mean... it's fine. We've talked about Ka. We talked about how Ka is like the hand of the author in the story.
Right.
And I think at the very beginning, it was more like destiny. And then over time, it has become characters complying with plot decisions simply to move the plot forward, which is fine. I keep saying fine, but it's true. It is. I think it's because this book to me felt like that. Just the statement, it's fine, would describe this entire book. It was okay. The whole thing with Roland and Eddie happens. They meet Stephen. They leave. And I don't think we see what happens to them after they leave.
No.
Yeah, that's literally it. They're like, right, finish our story. We'll protect you. It'll be fine. But we also imply, and I forgot about this, that Ka is greater than even the writer.
Right.
That Stephen King is a tool of both Gan and Ka.
Right, where he's channeling Ka from Gan.
Yeah. So he doesn't even get to dictate the story. The story is yet one more order of magnitude.
Right, he's
greater
just
than
translating
him.
it into reality.
And we get that cool line from Roland where he's like, I used to think that the worst possible outcome was that I got to the tower and I got to the top and it was empty. but now I'm worried it's not. And Eddie's like, oh, and that it would be just another asshole. That all of this is somebody's fault.
Right.
And Roland's like, yeah, I think that would be worse.
Yeah. Yeah, then this is just how things are unraveling versus somebody's doing this on purpose.
We got a couple really good Roland lines. Roland has really gone from this single-minded character to almost not single-minded, but just like intelligent enough to be able to like narrow his focus, and has been on this single narrow focus for so long that it is all he can see. And he gives him these really profound lines where he literally doesn't care about anything off to the left or to the right.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets the one where he says, I hold to no God. He goes, I hold to no God. Only to the Dark Tower. And I would never pray to that. And you're like, oh, I see you, Roland.
Mm-hmm.
He's got such, he feels like Clint Eastwood. He's really, really manifested his full man with no name, rugged, individual dude out on the plains, just thinking deep thoughts all day long.
Right.
I mean, he's
self-sufficient.
Yeah. It's good.
The man's man.
I like who Roland has become. He's probably what's getting me through these books at this point, because that's the end of it. That's all. That's all that happens in this entire book for them. They ride off into the sunset and we cut to, I think at that point we cut to Jake and Callahan, because we've had some time with Susannah interspersed in there, because she arrives in 1999 and the first thing she does is grow legs. It's like, okay, it's fine, but it feels like it's fine. It's fucking fine. White lady legs too for fucking no reason. I'm just like, I don't know what in this is racist, but I feel like something in here is, it's got like that, you know, when you hear a joke and you're like, I can't immediately peg why that feels gross, but it feels gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I feel about Susannah, especially now that Odetta has come back.
Right.
Dear God, I was so glad Odetta had left, because...
Is it Odetta or just Detta? I think
Detta.
it's just Detta.
Detta. We refer to Susannah a couple times as Odetta. I got mixed up, but Detta comes back. Detta, of course, being her, just even Susannah thinks she's a racist caricature.
Yeah.
Like even Susannah is like, with her stupid accent and her like stupid way of talking. And you're just like, this worked in the 80s or whatever when the Drawing of the Three came out. It kind of just
was
on the edge of working. And then you threw this in here and I'm like, God damn, dog. I just can't. This is so hard. But she's pregnant. She's not pregnant. Mia is pregnant, but Mia is in her body, but maybe Mia isn't in her body. And we finally clear up where it came from, because it's Roland's child.
Right.
And it's because when he, in the very first book.
In the Gunslinger,
when he seduced that, he thought it was just a...
Right, he trapped the demon.
The succubus or whatever. Yeah.
To get information while he was high on mescaline.
Yeah.
And...
It saved his seed.
Yep.
So that it could then put it in Susannah. And she's like, what? What? And then Mia is like, oh yeah, but I'm not that person. I'm not that thing, because those things are neither male nor female and they are barren.
Mm-hmm. I
am an entire other thing. I come from the town of, what's the name of the town she comes from?
Mia is a demon-like elemental whose sole impetus is to have a child.
Yeah. You do kind of feel bad for Mia by the end of it.
Yeah.
Oh, this summary says that Susannah goes along with it because she instinctively wants the baby to live. Fuck off. Fuck off. Even Stephen King in his notes about this was like, God, when I realized Susannah was pregnant, I was like, oh no, that never goes ever well in a story. Correct. Oh, the town of Feddic.
Okay, Feddic.
Near Castle Discordia. Oh, Discordia. I did like that this book was written in stanzas, but at the same time, I was like, oh, God, I hope this isn't for the rest of the series. I get it. It's fine. It does feel like we're on the downhill slope to the end. It really feels like everything is picking up because we're finally getting to the conclusion. But at the same time, so little has happened in the last however many books because we got Wizard and Glass. Okay, so a lot happens in the first 3, right? We travel, we pick up his companions, we get on Blaine the Mono, we go through Lud, we do all of that. A lot happens. Then we got to Wizard and Glass, and it was like, it's one night of them sitting around a campfire while Roland talks.
Right.
And so we hear Roland's story, which everyone was like, that's the best book of the whole series. Like, fuck off. No, it's not. And then the next book is like The Wolves of the Kala, and it's fine, but it does kind of feel like...
that is half of it's not them. It's backstory.
I started playing Baldur's Gate 3. I'll give you 2 guesses why, but you'll only need 1. It's fine. And there's a section where you're in this goblin camp or whatever, and you just have to go around and talk to people and do little subquests in the goblin camp. And you have choices when you're in each interaction. Some of them lead to additional quests, but for the most part, it's just like working your way through. You're working the room. Wolves of the Kala was just working the room. We did nothing. We went nowhere. I mean, we kind of did. We went to New York a couple of times, but then just came right back. And at the end, it really, we said in the episode.
We hooked into the Kelvin Tower plot to start that off, but then left it dangling.
Yeah.
And...
dot. Yeah, exactly.
We didn't further the plot of Roland and the Tower.
No. And at the very end, it felt like, and we said it in the episode, and I hold to this, like you're in a video game and you do too many side quests ahead of time and you're way over leveled, and the final boss, instead of being difficult, takes like 2 hits.
Right.
And so you've been reading all these guides about how to fight the final boss, and you don't need it because it dies immediately. That's what that felt like. And then we got to Song of Susannah, and it was like, hey, you want to watch paint dry for a 3rd novel in a row? Dog, I got you. No problem. And it's all character development, which I love character development. So I don't have any kind of intrinsic dislike of these books. Just do realize that very little has happened in the last 3 books. Fuck all, actually. Fuck all. And then
for the Roland Dark Tower plot.
Right.
But we've told stories. We've helped people.
We've done character development.
Yeah.
We've done character side quests. And now I think Stephen realized they weren't actually on the quest anymore. So he needed to get them back on the quest. So he was like, oh, I don't know. How about a baby? How about a fucking baby? Which she doesn't even have. She's in labor this entire book. I have been in labor, and you are not in labor this long. 500 pages.
It's a supernatural baby, so.
500 pages she's been in labor. She stops her labor at one point.
Yep.
She's like, I'm not ready yet. She's actually been in labor since the end of Wolves of the Kala.
Right.
Because when they get ready to defeat the wolves, she's having contractions. It's fine. It's fine. Although I do love how we had to make not only the whole pregnancy a horror show, but also the birth. But we're not there. We're talking about Susannah. Let's talk about when she first arrives in the world. Because she steals that lady's shoes.
Her bag and everything.
Everything. And then she leaves and sits on this bench to just like have a moment. And they're trying to figure out how they're going to be able to get a hotel where they can leave their stuff. And then they have to go to the Dixie Pig to have the baby. And they're like, oh my God, there's no way we can do this. We don't have any money. We have nothing. And then they have that memory of Eddie being like, what's in the bag? Because he was like touching the bag that Black 13 is in.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something sewn into the lining, and he forgot about it. And Susannah's like, oh, what could that be? So she pulls it out, and it's the world's biggest plot device I've ever heard of in my entire life. Like, there are plot devices, and then there's a tiny scrimshaw turtle that makes everyone do
whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Shupada, whatever they call it. That first guy is like, can I have it? Because she holds it up and she's like, oh, look, it's like a little turtle. And there's a guy there and he's like, I will give you everything. What would you like from me? And she's like, yeah, can you get a room for me at this hotel and then forget that you got me a room? And he's like, done. And then she shows up at the hotel and she's like, look at my turtle. Let me into the room. And they're like, great, no problem. Here, go up to the room. And everything from there on out is just like, look at my turtle. It will be fine. Because she goes to the hotel and she leaves Black 13 in the room. She's like, this is fine. Sculpida. Yeah. Little turtle guy. Yeah.
It's the Swedish word for turtle.
Okay. All right. Well, sure. Sure. I listened to that part on audiobook. I did enjoy the guy trying to do the accent for the Swedish guy who gets her a room at the hotel. This was so much Mia and Susannah talking to each other, where Susannah was like, I don't want to do this. We can just go have the baby at a hospital. And Mia being like, no, we can't. We're going to do this. And then Susannah being like, okay. And then Detta popping up and saying some wildly racist shit and then disappearing into the distance again. And they get a phone call and it's from the guy that promised Mia that she'd be able to raise the baby. And at first it's like, you'll have him for the first 7 years. And then they're like, okay, but maybe for the first 5. Okay, maybe just for a little bit. Okay, maybe you don't get him at all. And Mia's like, Susannah's like, I told you. I told you he was never.
Oh, yeah.
Honky mofo. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to quote Detta even a little bit. God. And then it's just her trying to get to the Dixie Pig. It's literally her dropping her shit off at the hotel and then going to the Dixie Pig.
And the I guess balance between Susannah and Mia about who's in control of the body.
Yeah. Because
Mia is extremely, shy, timid.
Right.
Unassertive.
And doesn't know anything about this world. And Susannah does. Well, they get to the Dixie Pig.
And so Mia needs Susannah's cooperation to navigate the world.
The Dixie Pig was the funnest part of her whole section. The weird ass shit, like the bird-headed people.
Yeah.
And the weird rat-faced. Like, we've met the servants of the Crimson King that have the blood thing in the forehead. Yeah. That's always filling but never overflowing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, that's how they breathe. And you're like, oh, wow. Okay, what?
I thought that was interesting. I was trying to...
I
was playing with that a bit in my head.
I was like, okay, but I thought maybe it was just like a third eye, private eye kind of thing. No, apparently it's their snorkel. I don't even know. She like rips off somebody's face and he's like, oh, that was rude. Okay. This whole section felt like Stephen King got high and watched They Live. It was like, that's what they are, because they even have the teeth on the outside, like the aliens from They Live.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she goes to go have the baby and she ends up in Fedek in the Dogan where they take the children. And honestly, I feel like that was a mistake. I don't want to know where the kids go.
Right. It was better not having details about.
Yeah, leave it. It was more horrific in my head than they lay down in a bed and get a thing put on them and there's bugs in it.
And something gets extracted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have even had Susannah be like, oh my God, is this what happens to the kids? And no one confirm it for her.
Yeah.
There was a lot of nuance here we could have left because it was way more horrifying when it was just ambiguous. But they put the helmet on Susannah, and Susannah and Mia are two different people, but they need to be connected psychically in order for Mia to push the baby out somehow, because the baby is in both their bodies, but also only in Mia's body. And blah, 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 blah. That doesn't matter. I don't care. Even at the end when they're like, oh no, did Susannah die? Oh no, because that's the end of the book. I was like, at this point, I'm not sure how concerned I kind of don't want. I don't want her to die just because I would feel bad for like Eddie. But at the same time, I'm like, she hasn't been a character in several books. She's just been pregnant. She was pregnant all through Wolves of the Kala, and it was just her being pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And the only character development or anything that we got from her was in relation to her being pregnant.
Right, and then plot-wise, she was good at throwing the plates.
Yeah, that's literally it. And then this book was just Eddie sad because Susannah gone. Susannah have baby. The end.
Mm-hmm.
Meh. Okay. Maybe the Dark Tower will redeem this whole story arc for me, but at the moment, it's my least favorite part of the Dark Tower. Dixie Pig aside, the banquet of people eating a baby, the fuck was that? Aside, it's not my favorite. What I did like was Callahan and Jake. Them arriving in New York was probably the best part because Callahan is talking to that street preacher, and the street preacher's like, oh, all right, appeared out of nowhere. I like that for you. That's great. Because Susannah talked to him mentally, and so he was prepared. He knew he knew they were coming. And then we hear like a screech and a thud, and Jake goes, "Oi!" And Callahan gets over there just in time for Jake to pull a gun on a taxi cab guy, and he's like, "Say you're sorry."
And so now we see the consequences of a child having the skills of a gunslinger without supervision.
Jake's kind of a bit feral. He's like, I will shoot you in the head if you don't tell me. Say, I'm sorry, I was driving like an asshole and I almost hit your friend. And the guy's like, well, what? And he's like, say it. Like, pulls back the hammer. And that's when Callahan's like, whoa, hey, everybody. We're all a little bit excited right now. And then they have
Callahan
to flee.
Talks him down.
Yeah, they have to flee the scene. And we get the preacher, who I think he might be an African-American preacher because he keeps saying God bomb. We're going to get hit by God bomb. And you're like, oh, okay. Okay.
I got more Southern, like Pentecostal.
I think he's referred to as an African-American guy, but it's fine. It may be in my head just because he kept saying God, G-A-W-D is how it's written in the book. G-A-W-D dash, and then bomb is like B-A-W-M-B or whatever. Like it's written in dialect. And I was like, I hate when people write in dialect. Just like, don't. If you're ever thinking I have a character of color and I should write their speech in dialect, the answer is probably no. Unless there's some compelling reason, then okay. But otherwise, don't. There was a book that I read when I was younger, and I picked it up again because I found it at a thrift store, and I was like, wow, I really enjoyed this. And all of the dialogue is written like phonetically as if Scottish people, because it's supposed to take place in Scotland. And it actually made it unreadable. I don't know how I read it when I was younger, but I was trying to read it, and I was like, I have to sound this shit out because I don't know what they're That's another soapbox that I don't feel like getting on right now. But they end up running off and going to get Black 13. And really, we lean so heavily on Jake having the touch. Jake's touch went from like occasionally he knows what people are thinking to he's almost in touch with Ka.
Right.
So that he can see the path of events. Sort of. So they end up going. First they go to the tower, don't they? The tower that's built over the roads.
They go to the lot. Yeah, because they want to just check on the roads.
Make sure. And it's fine. It's in a garden.
They're reassured that it's
the
all
Tet
okay.
Corporation in honor of the beam something or whatever. And it's very coded for like, we got you, fam.
If you
Rose
know, you
is
know.
Fine. Yeah. And then they go get Black 13 and they almost kill each other because Black 13 is waking up.
Right.
And that almost kills a maid who is only there so they can rob her. She shows up because Oi is barking, and they're like, can you stop the dog from barking? Which I do like how the preacher is like, is that a dog? And Jake's like, not even a little bit. He's like, I didn't think it was a dog.
Not too preoccupied with it, but
No. He's like, what did they say? Oi looks less dog-like the longer you look at him. But Oi barks to try to get them out of it, and that brings the maid down. And the maid walks in, and she's like, oh, open it. Yeah, absolutely open it. It's fine. And Black 13's like, yeah, open me. And then jump out the window. You'll be thankful that you served me. You'll love it. It's fine. But they end up kind of putting it back to sleep, and then they put it in the safest place Callahan can think of, which is some long-term storage lockers under the World Trade Center in 1999.
But this was written in 2004.
Oh, Steve knew what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he even has a little thing that's like, yeah, sorry, I know there were no storage lockers under the World Trade Center, but like, roll with me. Like, bear with me.
Yeah. Author's prerogative.
Yeah, I added that. This is not your world. It's okay if I get it wrong a couple of times. I think he must have gotten Eddie's place of origin wrong because...
Yeah, because they talk about it.
They talk about it in this book, and Eddie's like, no, it's in whatever, the Bronx.
Either the Bronx or Brooklyn.
Yeah, and he's like, no, it's in the other one. And Eddie's like, oh my God, it must be different in this world. Stephen got it wrong, and he was like, yeah, because it wasn't the real world.
And so that's one of the things Eddie first asks Stephen King is, where is this? Is it in the Bronx or Brooklyn? And Stephen King answers the same way Eddie's world matches. And so Eddie's world has a difference with the real world, the Keystone world, because Stephen King
doesn't know.
Learned it wrong.
Correct. But then when they're walking away, Callahan's like, well, our lease is good until whatever, 2003.
Yeah, the maximum time, like $27 or something.
Yeah,
or
what's
$50-something dollars.
What's the worst that could happen? The entire building could fall on it. Yeah. You're like, oh wow, he really put that in there. So the Black 13 is buried in the rubble under the World Trade Center, apparently.
Yep.
Huh. I wonder if he's trying to claim that that's why that happened.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Well, there was an evil thing underneath the building. Oh, okay. Well,
it had to be contained
right then.
For a little bit longer.
And then they go to the Dixie Pig, and that's the end of theirs. So that's all that happens. I mean, there's more to them going to the Dixie Pig. They go by a street musician, and we find out that Mia stopped there. And this was the cool part where Mia and Susannah Mia becomes a more sympathetic character as time goes on, which I appreciate. We could have left her as very sort of vacant and evil. She gets more character development than Susannah does.
Yeah.
Because we find out that she was this immortal entity that just fucked men to death. And that got boring, which is fair.
There was a thing that happened thousands of years ago with magic, and most of the magical creatures died.
Oh, yeah, because the Dark Tower was set up by magic, and it was intended to be supported by magic. Right. And there was enough magic in the world to keep the Dark Tower running forever. But then eventually technology supplanted magic, and magic left. It felt very Dark Sword.
Yeah, Dark Sword trilogy.
Where we took all the magic and put it in one spot.
Yeah.
And then everywhere else was sci-fi. And they used machines to continue supporting the Dark Tower, believing that there would always be someone there to
keep the machines running.
And now there's not. And so they're failing. And so that is really the moral of the story about why AI shouldn't supplant actual writers, because that's how you make the magic go away. Mm-hmm. And you think that the AI will continue having input to create new stories to keep the storytelling tradition of mankind alive. But actually, no. You need people to keep it going. You need creation to fuel imitation. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's what Stephen King was going for. I feel like I think that was the moral he was really trying to go for. I've been thinking a lot about AI lately. That's why it popped into my head. Just the way we really went from being a creativity-driven not society. I wouldn't say the United States is a creativity-driven society, but humans have a creation imperative.
Species.
And we were immediately like, yeah, you can have it. The way we immediately let that go was just disheartening, I think.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot because we produce a lot of audio content. You could feed 200 episodes of Strange and Beautiful Book Club and Come in 81 Kilo and whatever into an AI and create AI versions of our voices. So there is a possibility that someone could imitate us just because we have created things and put them out into the world. I'm never going to ask for your password or money. If I ask for money at all, it'd be on the Patreon. I just want to put that out there. Anyway, that's not the moral of the story. And that's in a whole other podcast. I just can't get over how little happened in this series. Besides the whole Dark Tower thing, like this is why the Dark Tower has started to fall.
Right.
Which again, you could have left that nebulous and I'd have been fine with that too.
Yeah. The lore is the most substantial part of it.
And they really got her with she wanted to be a mommy. They got Mia with, oh, you want a baby? We can help you have a baby.
Right.
We have to make you into a person first.
The way she explained it, I felt like her motivations felt well-rounded, like well-grounded.
Yeah.
Where she had to adapt to this magical cataclysm. And a result of that is she became more human-like and she started living in a city.
Yeah, Vedic.
And then she saw humans with their babies and realized that's something that she wanted. But because of her nature, because of what she was, it was impossible.
Yeah. So they got her with that. They got her to go in the Dogan. They turned her into something that could have a baby and promised her she would be able to raise it. And then sent her off to infect Susannah and carry a child. And now they're finally having the baby, and that's where the book ends. I don't know. I think it's fine. I think I want to read the final book and see if the way he ties everything together makes the ride feel worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely was on board for the first book. I was on board for the second book. The third book was fine. And I think at the fourth book, it's beginning to lose me. And I thought Wolves of the Kala was weird enough to pull me back in.
Mm-hmm.
But then we got this one. And I'm really hoping the Dark Tower, the final installment, really, really drags me back in. Which means I hope it's fucking weird. I wanted to, I come to Stephen King, and this is probably the last we're going to do of Stephen King, because he's out there on social media just sort of, I don't want to comment on it, but some people should not be public figures. I think that JK, you know who I'm talking about, she should be not allowed. Just take her to an island, give her what she thinks is social media, but just is entirely bot driven, where they just tell her she's a great person, and then don't let her contact humanity ever again. Okay. I don't want her to die. I just want her to stop doing what she's doing. And then Stephen King is leaning that way. And I kind of feel like someone needs to step in and be like, okay, Steve, maybe when we have thoughts, we write them in our journal. Yeah.
Instead of.
Yeah. And then
whatever.
Then you come to me when you want to post, and we'll decide together. This is the man who created Dead of Walkers, Dead of Homes. So, okay. It's fine. But anyway, the moral of that is I come to Stephen for weird and interesting and innovative and horrific. I don't come to him for whatever this pregnancy storyline was. I don't like it. That's a thing in the romance community, the surprise pregnancy trope.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty universally not loved. I don't love it. He first tried to write a romance novel, And then he slapped us with the surprise pregnancy trope.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's not his wheelhouse. And I want him to get out of it. And I want him to get back to where we were having fun in the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
And I can think of so many other ways to bring about a character that would be able to take down Roland. Or you could just let Roland die of old age. That would be a plot twist. Like, he doesn't have to die violently. He could just...
And we already introduced in Wolves of the Kala the fact that
he's slowing down.
He's slowing down. The accumulated injuries are affecting him.
Yeah. I love when he's like, oh, I can get Aston. Oh, like, yes, back in the world of painkillers. It's fine. It was okay. I'm glad we're finishing The Dark Tower. I'm not mad we read this book. I liked Wolves of the Kala better. I'm hoping I like The Dark Tower better.
Mm-hmm.
This felt like a bridge. It was a bridge. It wrapped up plot lines and it introduced the exact correct number of plot lines that he felt he could wrap up in The Dark Tower.
Yeah. The Mordred.
Yeah.
Like King Arthur tie-in, kind of interesting. I can see that as a way that he could think of that he felt like he could execute in the story that would justify the surprise pregnancy.
Yeah.
But
it feels to me like Stephen King's not a series writer because he's not. This is one of his few series.
Yeah.
He'll create things all in the same world, like his fictional town in Maine.
Yeah.
He'll do that. But to carry a story and carry characters, he's a pantser. He talks about it in this book. He does not plan. He simply sits down and writes. And that's okay for a one-off story. But if you're trying to create a story arc that goes from book 1 to book 7, I think George R.R. Martin is an excellent example of how pantsing doesn't work in the long term for a series because you end up in a place where you don't know where to go.
Right.
The difference between George R.R. Martin and Stephen King is Stephen King's not afraid to write a book that is exclusively for wrapping up plot lines that he doesn't know where to go with.
Right.
And that's what Song of Susannah is like, okay, I have written myself into these 7 different directions. I need one direction to have a stellar final book. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to snip off all of these loose ends in one single book.
And give people a plot device that can get them to where I need them to be.
Right. Ka. And I'm just going to call it Ka.
Or a Scrimshaw turtle.
Yeah, the Scrimshaw turtle who is in whatever. The Ka of the book, which is the Scrimshaw turtle. The thing that got, like, Calvin Tower being such a douchebag that they could find him by talking to the very first person that they talked to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It happened. I'm glad Stephen felt like that was a thing that he could do. He was just like, it's fine. I'll just wrap them all up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's enough in it that it's a good story. I just don't think it's the best of the Dark Tower novels. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I agree.
I really like the Stephen King section.
Mm-hmm.
I liked a couple of the sections with Susannah where Susannah and Mia were just talking because we got so much backstory and we also got some actual character development for the female characters. What the fuck is that?
Right. Like, by the end of it, they had both decided whatever I can do to help you escape, I will.
Yeah. We're in this together now because what we're in this for is the baby. Because Susannah's like, I'm not trying to kill your baby. I'm trying to keep us alive. And I liked the Jake and Callahan dynamic because Callahan and Jake feel the same age on the page, even though Jake is 12, I think, at this point.
Yeah, and Callahan's, what, like 70-something?
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah.
But because of the lack of experience that Callahan has and the wealth of experience that Jake has, and then they get to the Dixie Pig. That's the very end of their story. They don't go in, but Jake finds the turtle. And I do like they know they're going to die, but they're going to do it anyway. Because Jake's like, well, what does Callahan say? Just make sure they don't take us alive. And Jake's like, don't worry, they won't. And then he finds the turtle in the gutter outside the Dixie Pig. And he's like, oh, this is it. This will get us. We have a chance of surviving now. And that's the end of their arc.
Yeah, and Callahan even does last rites on them.
It's a good place to leave the book. I feel like everywhere that he left everybody, it was a great place moving into the next story.
Yeah.
And
it'd be a good spot to pick up.
It made me feel like, okay, all right, I'll go pick it up. In fact, I've been wanting to, but we haven't. Took a while for us to record the episode. So, I don't like to read the next one because sometimes I can't remember where one ended and one started,
right.
especially when they flow into each other like this. But I think the last three feel the most serial.
Mm-hmm.
Wolves of the Kala, Song of Susannah, and probably The Dark Tower. They're the ones that feel the most like a series because he's not afraid for one book to not have a beginning and not have an ending.
Right.
Whereas the other ones were written so far apart, they are almost standalone. I mean, we joked in The Wind Through the Keyhole that one could have been standalone, or he says it could be standalone. And then gives you like 10 pages of backstory so it can be standalone.
Yeah.
But it almost could be. If you ignore the most exterior frame story of Roland and the Skinwalker, and you only hear the story about the character and the character who goes through the Stark Blast and meets Merlin and flies around on a folding sheet and shit. That is actually almost standalone.
Yeah.
But of course that's written way after The Dark Tower. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Just spitballing about it's I think he sat down and wrote all three of these at the same time. That's what I was getting at. So it works if you're pantsing, if you're literally writing them as one volume and you split it into three.
Yeah.
I would split it into two. I'd rather had two chunky books that had plot than to be like, I mean, these came out, like a year apart? I think the last three are all a year apart, which means you get one, and then a year later you got Song of Susannah. You got Wolves of the Kala, and then you got Song of Susannah, which doesn't actually wrap up the Susannah plotline because she's having the baby at the end.
It's a cliffhanger on what is actually going to happen to Mia and Susannah.
So in a way, it ends the same way Wolves of the Kala ends.
Yeah.
Where the party is separated and Susannah is having a baby. Anyway, we'll move on from here to The Dark Tower, and then we have that short story, and then we will take a Stephen King break. Maybe we'll finish
Song
Dune
of
next.
Susannah and Dark Tower were both published in 2004.
Okay, well, you didn't have to wait long.
And
then.
Wolves of the Kala was in 2003.
Okay. Kind of feels like when Brandon Sanderson was finishing The Wheel of Time. And he was like, there's one book left in The Wheel of Time. And then he was like, there are 3 books left in The Wheel of Time. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, oh, this is the last one. I'm so sorry. It is not the last one. I wrote so many more books. But I trust Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't not trust Stephen King. I just think Stephen King's going to do what he wants to do. Right. And whether you enjoy it or not is immaterial because he's made his money. He's just this is for shits and giggles at this point.
Right.
So I guess since we're wrapping it up, are you reading anything else right now?
I started Faithbringer. No, Sunbringer.
Sunbringer.
Yep.
I want to do that. I want to finish those. Maybe once we finish Dune, we'll go back.
Yeah.
Because I think that trilogy is finished now.
Yep. Yeah, Faithbringer's out.
And then we could do Gideon the Ninth and Nona the Ninth.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be a good... We'll do some books written by women for a bit. That would be good. I started reading Post Mortal, and I also started reading the Southern Book Club Guide to Slaying Vampires. I don't know. It's a really long title. Because they're making it into a movie or TV show. And I was like, well, I guess I'll maybe finally read it. No, it's fine. It's Fright Night by any other name. And I just keep getting stalled. Because it's fine, but the main character is this like Southern lady written by a man. And some men can write women as their main characters, and it's great. And some men can't. And I'm not sold. Her husband is never home. He's gone every day of the week. And he's like, it's because I'm trying for a promotion at work. And she's like, okay. No woman ever, 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 ever has a husband who is distant, not affectionate, who is gone every single day of the week and says, it's because I'm at work. And they just go, okay. Okay.
Unless they have very little attachment to the...
Unless you don't care.
Right.
But it's not written as if she doesn't care. It's written as if she believes him.
Oh, okay.
And she also is in a true crime book club. So she's in a true crime book club for years. And her husband is gone all the time. And she isn't like, oh, that fucker's cheating
That's a
on
red
me.
flag. Yeah.
Whatever. It's taking me out of the book, honestly. And the vampire doesn't have teeth. He has like a proboscis thing. And I'm like, ugh. That's why I stopped watching The Strain.
Oh, is that what happened in The Strain?
Yeah, it's fine. Don't reinvent the vampire myth, okay? If you want to take the teeth away, okay. You want to have fangs, fine. But don't make it weird. Don't add something extra. I know that's weird. That's just me, probably. What did we just watch? Oh, we just watched He Lived. Or He Never Died.
He Never Died.
He Never Died.
Yeah.
We've watched
So
it before,
good.
but it's so good. We watched it again. We need to watch the sequel, She Never Died. Anyway, I started reading Postmortal. Forget the Southern Women's Book Club thing, whatever. If you watch Fright Night, it's the same vibe. Except he kills children. Gross. But also, anyway. Postmortal is about this world where we figured out the cure for aging. Doesn't make you immortal. It just makes you not grow old. You can still die of cancer.
Just the aging part.
You can still whatever, but your body doesn't break down over time. And it feels like it should be a good book. Everything about it feels like it should be interesting and compelling because it's an interesting plot. It feels sort of like World War Z, where we're making our way through the consequences by seeing it through like bystander point of views.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not, I'm not flying through it. Like it's not engaging me enough. I'm sitting there thinking about other things I could be doing while I'm reading it, which is usually a red flag for this is not a good book. But I'm trying to finish it. And I was reading the Christopher Pike, The Last Vampire series, because I read it when I was younger.
Okay.
And I remembered it being weird. And I honestly forgot how weird it got. And I got to like book 6 or 7 of I don't even know how many. I have 5 volumes, and each volume I think is 3 books.
Okay.
And there were aliens and an evil death cult from Egypt. And she could turn into moonlight. And I was like, you know what, actually? I think I'm good. And I stopped reading it. So that's all that I've been reading. That's it. That's all. No extra stuff. Just like 17 books that I listed out. So I guess we'll leave it there. I'll give you an update on Postmortal when we come back for Dark Tower next month. Are you ready to wrap up the Dark Tower?
Yeah. I'm ready to figure out what happens.
Yeah, I'm ready to figure out what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's saying something that I care. I care about what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what the solution to the mystery is.
I know I'm resisting the urge to look it up.
Yeah, don't. Come on, we gotta experience it organically. I guess we'll leave it there.
Okay.
Remember.
Yeah, I was about to.
Okay, sorry.
Remember, sometimes the strangest things are the most beautiful too.
So be who you are and love what you love. Until next time, friends.
Bye.